Nobody actually knew that it existed until it was accidentally discovered. It's about 5,000 years old, but we can't read that script. The script exists, but we can't read it. So there could be all kinds of information in that script.
Discoveries of ancient texts in Egypt have significantly expanded our understanding of ancient civilizations, particularly those of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. These discoveries span various genres, including religious, scientific, literary, and philosophical texts, opening our eyes to ancient moments you had to be there to believe. In 1799, during Napoleon's ambitious campaign in Egypt, a remarkable discovery was made by French soldiers near the town of Rosetta, now known as Rashid. They unearthed a granodiorite slab, dark and hard, which would come to be recognized as one of the most significant archaeological finds in history, the Rosetta Stone. This discovery was monumental not just for its immediate impact, but for the doors it would open in the field of Egyptology. The Rosetta Stone, dating back to 196 BC, bears a decree issued in Memphis in honor of King Ptolemy V. What makes the stone extraordinary is its trilingual inscription. The same message is conveyed in hieroglyphics, the script used for religious documents, Demotic, the common script of Egypt, and Ancient Greek, the language of the ruling administration at the time. This feature of the Rosetta Stone provided the crucial breakthrough in deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, which had been a long-standing mystery. Jean-François Champollion, a French scholar, made the groundbreaking realization in 1822 that by comparing the Greek text, which was already understood, with the hieroglyphic and demotic texts, he could unlock the ancient Egyptian language. The text inscribed on the Rosetta Stone is essentially a piece of propaganda, extolling the virtues of Ptolemy V's reign. It commands that the decree be displayed in temples across Egypt, highlighting the practice of disseminating such declarations in prominent religious and public spaces. This aspect of the Rosetta Stone reveals much about the political and religious workings of Ptolemaic Egypt, illustrating how rulers used such inscriptions to communicate with and influence their subjects. Today, the Rosetta Stone is often heralded as the world's most famous slab of stone, a symbol of the key to unlocking the mysteries of ancient Egypt. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, dating back to around 1550 to 50 BC, offers an extraordinary glimpse into the spiritual life of ancient Egypt. Unlike what its name might suggest, the Book of the Dead is not a singular book, but a collection of spells, prayers, magical formulas, and incantations, meticulously crafted to guide the deceased through the underworld, known as Duat, and into the afterlife. These texts, written on papyrus, were often included in the burial chambers, personalized for each individual, with spells selected for their perceived usefulness in navigating the afterlife. The evolution of these funerary texts, from the pyramid texts intended for royalty to the coffin texts, and eventually to the Book of the Dead, accessible to the wider population, marks a significant shift in ancient Egyptian religious and social practices. This transition indicates a democratization of the afterlife, suggesting changes in societal structures and religious beliefs where eternal life was no longer a privilege of the pharaohs, but a possibility for all. The spells within the Book of the Dead paint a vivid picture of the ancient Egyptians' beliefs regarding the afterlife, including the trials the deceased would face, such as the judgment before Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This collection of texts is invaluable for understanding ancient Egyptian religion, mythology, and views on life after death, portraying a complex belief system where the dead could continue to interact with the living and the gods. When juxtaposed with the Rosetta Stone, the Book of the Dead offers a different kind of bridge to the ancient past. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799 and instrumental in deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, unlocked the ability to read countless texts from ancient Egypt, thus opening up a broader understanding of Egyptian civilization. In contrast, the Book of the Dead delves into the spiritual and religious beliefs of the ancient Egyptians, offering insights into their perceptions of death, the afterlife, and divinity. Though the Rosetta Stone and the Book of the Dead differ significantly, one being a bilingual decree and the other a compilation of funerary texts, they collectively illuminate the complexity of ancient Egyptian civilization. The Rosetta Stone reveals the administrative and political landscape, while the Book of the Dead provides a profound understanding of the spiritual and religious depth of this ancient culture. Diving into the intellectual and spiritual depths of ancient Egyptian civilization, two cornerstone documents stand out for their profound contributions: the pyramid texts and the Rind mathematical papyrus. Each in its own domain showcases the advanced understanding and the multifaceted nature of Egyptian life, spanning the realms of religion and mathematics. The pyramid texts, dating back to around 2400 to 2300 BC, hold the distinction of being the world's oldest religious texts. Inscribed within the pyramids, viewed by the ancient Egyptians not merely as tombs but as portals to the afterlife, these texts served a crucial purpose. They were intended to secure the pharaoh's divine status after death, offering guidance through the underworld to achieve eternal life among the gods. With over 700 spells, the pyramid texts laid the foundation for future Egyptian funerary practices, as seen in the evolution of the coffin texts and the Book of the Dead. Initially reserved for pharaohs, the democratization of these texts over time reflects a significant shift, suggesting an evolving conception of the afterlife that eventually embraced all Egyptians, not just the elite. In contrast, the Rind mathematical papyrus from around 1550 BC delves into the pragmatic and analytical world of mathematics. Named after Alexander Henry Rind, who acquired it in 1858, this document served an educational purpose. It trained scribes in arithmetic, algebra, and geometry, encompassing practical problems relevant to surveying, architecture, and resource distribution. This papyrus not only demonstrates the Egyptians' prowess in fractions and linear equations, but also hints at their early approximation of pi, underscoring the practical implications of their mathematical knowledge in daily life and state administration. While the pyramid texts are steeped in the spiritual and esoteric, aimed at guiding the deceased through the afterlife, the Rind mathematical papyrus is grounded in the practical and worldly, focusing on mathematical education for administrative efficiency. Yet both documents illuminate the sophistication of ancient Egyptian society from different angles. The pyramid texts reflect the deep religious beliefs and funerary customs that shaped Egyptians' views on life, death, and the hereafter. Meanwhile, the Rind papyrus reveals the pragmatic application of mathematical principles in managing the state's affairs, from architecture to the distribution of resources, highlighting the integral role of mathematics in the governance and organization of ancient Egypt. Together, the pyramid texts and the Rind mathematical papyrus underscore ancient Egypt's remarkable advancements in understanding both the divine and the empirical. In 1945, near the Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi, a discovery was made that would significantly widen the lens through which we view early Christian thought. A local farmer named Muhammad al-Saman unearthed a sealed jar containing a collection of texts that shed light on the Gnostic beliefs flourishing in the 3rd and 4th centuries AD. Written in Coptic, these texts were hidden away, likely by a community that held them dear at odds with the mainstream Christian authorities of their time. The Nag Hammadi library is a fascinating compilation, ranging from Gospels and philosophical treatises to revelations. It dives into deep theological debates and spiritual practices that stood apart from the orthodox teachings of the early church, emphasizing a personal connection and knowledge of the divine, known as Gnosis. Among its treasures is the Gospel of Thomas, notable for its 114 sayings of Jesus. This text in particular contains parallels to the canonical Gospels, but also introduces teachings that were not included in the Bible as we know it, offering new perspectives on Jesus' words and teachings. The discovery of these texts has challenged traditional narratives of early Christian history, unveiling the rich tapestry of beliefs that existed alongside what would become Orthodox Christianity. The Nag Hammadi texts paint a picture of a vibrant, albeit contested, religious landscape where various groups and sects struggled for spiritual authority and legitimacy. The act of burying these texts might have been a desperate measure by a community under threat, aiming to preserve their spiritual heritage against the dominating force of Orthodox Christianity. When compared to the canonical New Testament, the Nag Hammadi texts stand out for several reasons. They bring to light the theological diversity that characterized early Christianity, offering views on mysticism, the cosmos, and the nature of divinity that diverge significantly from the orthodox path. For instance, their portrayal of Jesus often contrasts with that of the canonical Gospels, presenting him more as a spiritual entity and questioning the physical aspects of his crucifixion and resurrection. Additionally, while the canonical Gospels derive their authority from their apostolic origins, the texts from Nag Hammadi often claim apostolic or even divine authorship as a means to assert their legitimacy and authority. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls is one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century, fundamentally altering our understanding of history, the development of the Hebrew Bible, and the beginnings of Christianity. These ancient manuscripts, found in a series of caves near the Dead Sea at Qumran, offer a rare and invaluable window into the religious, cultural, and historical milieu of the Second Temple period, roughly from 516 BCE to 70 CE. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd named Muhammad Ejdib made an accidental discovery that would forever change the world's understanding of Jewish history, the development of the Hebrew Bible, and the early stages of Christianity. While searching for a stray sheep near the Dead Sea, he stumbled upon a series of ancient scrolls hidden in jars within a cave. This initial discovery at Qumran sparked a wave of archaeological interest, leading to the uncovering of scrolls and fragments from 11 caves in total, dating from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls encompass an astonishing variety of religious writings. These include not just biblical manuscripts, but also apocryphal and pseudepigraphal works, sectarian manuscripts detailing the life and beliefs of the Qumran community, and other texts of both religious and secular nature. Among these, the complete or partial texts of every book of the Hebrew Bible, except for the Book of Esther, stand out for their age and value. These texts predate the next oldest Hebrew manuscripts by roughly 1,000 years, offering unprecedented insights into the textual history and evolution of the Hebrew Bible. The significance of these ancient manuscripts extends beyond their age and rarity. They have illuminated the process of canonization and the transmission of biblical texts, revealing variations and evolution over time. Furthermore, the non-biblical texts among the scrolls provide a rare glimpse into the beliefs, practices, and daily life of what many scholars believe to be the Essenes, a Jewish sect living in a monastic community at Qumran. Descriptions of this community, with its strict rules, communal living, and emphasis on ritual purity, align with historical accounts by ancient historians like Josephus and Pliny the Elder, supporting the theory of the Essene connection. Interesting facts surrounding the Dead Sea Scrolls include their status as a potential library of the Qumran community, reflecting the diverse range of Jewish thought during the Second Temple period. The preservation techniques aided by the dry climate of the Dead Sea region and the method of storing scrolls in jars have allowed these texts to survive for over 2 millennia. Moreover, advances in technology have led to the digitalization of the scrolls, making them accessible to a global audience and facilitating their study and preservation. When comparing the Dead Sea Scrolls to other significant ancient religious texts, such as the Nag Hammadi library, the contrast in their contributions to our understanding of ancient religious thought becomes apparent. While the Nag Hammadi texts illuminate early Christian Gnosticism and include a variety of Gospels and spiritual writings not found in the canonical Bible, the Dead Sea Scrolls primarily shed light on the Jewish context of the Second Temple period. Together, these discoveries highlight the rich diversity and textual complexity of religious thought in the ancient Near East, offering scholars and lay people alike a deeper understanding of the origins and development of these two major world religions. In 1945, near the Upper Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi, an astonishing discovery was made that would profoundly impact our understanding of early Christianity. A local farmer, Muhammad Ali al-Saman, was searching for fertilizer in the soil when he stumbled upon a sealed earthenware jar. Initially hesitant, fearing it might contain a jinn, his curiosity prevailed, leading him to uncover a collection of leather-bound papyrus codices. This find, now known as the Nag Hammadi Library, contained 13 ancient books with over 50 texts, including Gospels such as Thomas and Philip, Acts, letters, and theological treatises that were not included in the canonical New Testament. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi library was groundbreaking for several reasons. For starters, the text provided a panoramic view of Gnosticism, an early Christian movement that emphasized direct knowledge of the divine as the path to salvation. Before this discovery, our understanding of Gnosticism was primarily based on the accounts of its opponents. The Nag Hammadi texts, however, offered a first-hand look at the rich diversity of thought within early Christianity, challenging the notion of a unified set of beliefs and practices among its adherents. These manuscripts were remarkably well preserved, likely due to the dry, sealed jar in which they were stored for centuries. Written in Coptic, the latest stage of the Egyptian language, they represented translations from earlier Greek writings. The translation of these texts into modern languages has revolutionized the study of early Christian history, making them accessible to both scholars and laypeople. The Nag Hammadi texts delve into spiritual and philosophical themes not prominently featured in the canonical Bible, offering a more mystical and metaphysical view of Jesus and his teachings. They discuss the origin of evil, the nature of God, and the soul's journey, providing a unique lens through which to view early Christian theology. One particularly intriguing aspect of the Nag Hammadi library is its portrayal of Mary Magdalene. In texts like the Gospel of Philip, Mary is depicted as a close companion of Jesus, sparking debates about her role in early Christian communities and challenging traditional views on the status of women in the early church. This portrayal contrasts with her more limited role in the canonical Gospels and has fueled discussions on gender and leadership within early Christianity. When we compare the Nag Hammadi library with the Dead Sea Scrolls, we see two vastly different snapshots of religious thought in the ancient world. Together, these discoveries have dramatically expanded our understanding of ancient religious thought, highlighting the complex and diverse beliefs that existed during their respective periods and illustrating the evolving religious landscape from Judaism to Christianity. In the mid-19th century, an extraordinary discovery was made at St. Catherine's Monastery on the Sinai Peninsula, which would leave an indelible mark on biblical scholarship and the history of Christianity. Konstantin von Tischendorf, a German biblical scholar, during his visit to the monastery, found several leaves of an ancient manuscript in a basket of old parchments that were about to be destroyed. This manuscript, known as the Codex Sinaiticus, dates back to the 4th century AD and is one of the oldest and most complete versions of the Christian Bible written in Greek. The Codex Sinaiticus is truly remarkable for several reasons. It encompasses the complete New Testament, a significant portion of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, a Greek translation of Hebrew scriptures, and the Apocrypha. This makes it one of the few manuscripts offering such a comprehensive view of early Christian biblical literature. Moreover, it contains texts like the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermas, which are absent from the canonical Bible of most Christian traditions today. The significance of the Codex Sinaiticus extends well beyond its contents. It serves as a crucial resource for the field of textual criticism, enabling scholars to compare its texts with those of other ancient manuscripts to deduce the most likely original texts of the Christian Bible. This insight into the diversity of beliefs and practices within early Christian communities is invaluable, providing a clearer picture of the early church's efforts to standardize Christian texts. There are some fascinating facts about the production and preservation of the Codex Sinaiticus. It was likely produced in one of the major Christian centers, possibly Alexandria, and is an example of the early Christian codex format, which predates the modern book format. Today, the manuscript is preserved and digitized, with portions held in 4 separate locations: the British Library in London, the University Library in Leipzig, the National Library of Russia in St. Petersburg, and St. Catherine's Monastery itself. This digitization effort has made it accessible to a global audience, ensuring its preservation and continued study. An interesting theory about the Codex Sinaiticus involves Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. In 331 AD, Constantine commissioned Eusebius of Caesarea to produce 50 copies of the scriptures for the churches of Constantinople. Some scholars speculate that the Codex Sinaiticus might have been one of these copies, given its early date and the high quality of its production. While there's no direct evidence to confirm this theory, it adds an intriguing layer to the Codex's history. When compared to the Codex Vaticanus, another significant ancient biblical manuscript from the 4th century, the Codex Sinaiticus offers a unique contribution to our understanding of the Christian biblical canon. Although the Codex Vaticanus is slightly older and presents some textual variations, the Codex Sinaiticus is more complete and includes books not found in the Vaticanus. Together, these manuscripts are among the most important for understanding the development and transmission of the Christian biblical canon, providing crucial insights into the text of the Christian Bible during this formative period.